I can just give you this. Oh, okay. Testing.
I don't think a lot of people realize.
That one. Well, I try to tell them though.
I listen,
Okay, thank you.
even though I was asleep.
What is it, Larry?
But
Barry. Remember that. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We are going to continue. Okay. So someone walked up and asked me, "What if you're 85 and what are the chances of them getting dementia?" And it's not an easy question to answer. I mean, the numbers say that by the time you get to be that age, one in two people will have dementia. Well, it doesn't have to be you, and there are a lot of factors that go into that. Everything from your genetics, your childhood.
genetics I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
How does genetics affect? My mother had Alzheimer's at the very end of her life.
Uh-huh.
My brother lived to 90.
Okay, okay, all right. Tell you what, we'll talk about that afterwards, right? So genetics, so different factors. Genetics can play a role, yes, but in my experience, and the studies show that not more than 5 to 10% is actually driven by genetics, especially genetics that have to do with dementia. The majority has to do with lifestyle, and that's a very loose term for things for like how well you sleep, how the quality of your food, the stimulation and the challenging, how challenged your brain was, how much love and affection you enjoy. Huge, huge. I mean, the thing about studies about bonding and social connection is it's beginning to resurface about how the chemicals that are produced from having great quality relationships can be very protective of the brain. And of course, like we mentioned before, muscle strength and muscular activity, huge. Again, I mean, I am shocked at what we're finding out about the role that muscles play in health. They're now finding out that when you activate or stress your muscles, again, it's not lifting huge weights, but just stressing the muscles. That activity itself stimulates the release of chemicals from the muscles that get into the bloodstream and activates healing, repair, stimulate connections between the brain cells. And as we said earlier, the most important thing is having the network, having those brain cells connect effectively in the brain. Once that is affected, then your brain begins to falter and stumble. We know the older you get, you're not going to get as much as that, as those connections happening as you were getting when you were 25, for instance. It's not as easy to quickly make connections. You okay, Barry? Okay, okay. It's not as easy to make connections, but it's still very possible to quickly make and form connections and remove old ones. So here's a timeline that I like to use just to give you an idea of what's going on. So on the left, that's conception. Some say really it's your life started probably when your mother was a baby, because that's when the ovaries were first formed. So okay, let's not complicate that. Once you are formed as an embryo, right, at conception to birth, we're going to skip the first few decades, but by 25 is when there's full brain development. That's when the parts of the brain that have to do with judgment, again, we're talking about the prefrontal cortex, the parts that have to do with judgment, planning, complex decision making, and so on. That's when that is formed. Now, when I was saying this, I spoke at this boardroom to this big shot financial planners. And right there in the middle of the conversation, someone stops me and says, Well, yeah, that can't be true. I mean, maybe for women it's 25, but for men, they don't get mature until they are 40. And I was like, there's always this smart. Always a smart aleck in every class I go to. I mean, it always happens. Someone who just interrupts you for no good reason and just says something off. Anyway, I thanked him for his contribution and I moved on. 40 is when midlife. So midlife is when we begin to see things, kind of begin to, what's the term now, Larry? Go downhill. Yeah. I wouldn't say go downhill as much as plateau, you're not bouncing back from all those injuries you used to have in the past, things like that. Then at 50 is menopause. 50 is menopause. This is when the woman loses the hormones that have been very protective of the brain, loses the levels. So everything from estrogen to progesterone and even testosterone. This is really, can you see okay, you can't see my cursor. This is really what I feel needs to be paid a lot of attention to. This really is where things need to be taken care of. But unfortunately, only 1 in 5 OBGYNs actually help in this. But in my experience, it's never too late to do something about it. By 80 years of age, 1 in 2 will have it, and by 90 or to 100, you've lost about 10% of your brain's entire mass. The good thing is that the older you get, some of these connections are more solid, they are more effective, you have more maturity and more flexibility in knowing how to use your brain. Here's this picture. So from the left to the right, if you can see it, so the blue line is for men. We don't have that sudden decline, which is the pink line. You see that pink line. So that's what happens with women. So on the top left is 100%. So in your 20s, you had 100% brain energy production. So this whole diagram is basically, I apologize, I should have explained this. This diagram is talking about how energy declines, brain energy specifically, declines with age. So in your 20s, you've got 100%. When you get to be about 50, especially for women, you can have as much as a 30% drop in energy levels for the brain in certain parts of the brain. Sometimes they never recover from that and they never get back to what it was before. So you can see 74% and 65%. The green line represents what happens if you have someone who knows what they're doing, who can measure your hormones and make other measurements and advise you correctly and maybe hold your hand, and then you can see that you can actually go beyond what the men are enjoying and have optimal brain energy production. So that is possible. And I mentioned earlier in the last session that Brian and Jeff are here with one of those products. I've used them myself, and I can tell you it helps. It helps to generate brain energy. So effects of aging, let's talk about what happens to the brain as it ages. I'm just going to say, okay, the quick one as you grow older, yes, there are some positive effects. You don't have those mood swings that maybe you or your kids or grandkids used to have. As you're older, and you all know what I'm talking about, you're more mature, you learn how to take things in stride. You've had disappointments, you know how to handle disappointments better than probably someone in their 40s. Right? And patience. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Patience and maturity. Those all come with, I guess the word is wisdom altogether, right? All right. So let's look at the things that happen as you grow older and what to expect. And I'm listing these things out here because I really, really want you to see the risks that you're up against. And of course, again, I feel I'm preaching to the choir, but the point is that for each of these things, there's a lot, and I mean a lot, that can be done. Okay? There's a lot that can be done. I know there's no medication for number one here, which says memory. There's no medication that a doctor can prescribe that I know of that would reverse memory decline. But I can tell you this for a fact: there's a there's a lot you can do to improve your memory. My mother. So quick story. My mom, my dad was always complaining. She's 78, he's 82. He would tell her things that happened maybe 3 or 4 days ago, or things that happened way back when they were younger, and she couldn't remember it. And it was like, this has happened just 5 days ago. She couldn't remember, and and he's very impatient. He was getting really, really frustrated with her. And then, so she was telling me about it. So yeah, I said, okay, fine. I mean, I'm always sending things back home because we have a huge number of kids that we support with brain problems. So I just bought a few things, sent them to her. And then we were talking the other day, and I was asking about her memory issues, and she thought about it for a while, and she's like, you know what? Your dad hasn't complained about this in a while. She didn't realize it, but I mean, he's the one that's been complaining about it. So I call him and I say, "What do you think?" And he thought about it for a while, and he said, "Well, in the last 1 year, she hasn't. I haven't noticed it." All right. Now, it worked quickly for her because I know her. She's quote unquote my patient. So I had been doing other things for her. So it may not work I mean, you may not know exactly, it may not work as quickly, but what I've found is that when we work with people and just understanding what exactly is going on, you can significantly improve people's memory, especially if it's the kind of memory that is getting in the way of their daily activities. You should not accept that. You should not accept that, things that are important to you should be lost and there's nothing you can do about it. Do not buy into that lie. It is a lie. You can improve your memory and you don't have to do any complex tests and complex activities to do that. Basically, like I said before, it's a cry for help. Your brain is being starved of certain nutrients, which in turn create energy for it. And so if you can provide your brain with the nutrients it needs, it will happen. But it's not just about nutrients. It's also about sleep. What we know is that as you grow older, obviously you don't sleep as well. Sleep is a very complicated process that your brain has to go through, and there are several phases that it has to go through. But again, it needs energy. But there are things that can be done to help improve the quality of your sleep. How many hours should you be sleeping a night? 10, no, not 10, come on. What's left of the day if you sleep 10 hours a day? 7. So 7 to 8 to 9. I understand seniors, older folk tend to have problems sleeping, waking up at night, and all that. Some of it is due to prostate issues. I get it. Some of it is due to stress. I get it. But there's some basic things you can do to help improve the quality of your sleep and not have those interruptions. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So balance. So one of the reasons why, number 3, one of the reasons why balance is lost for some people is because the part of the brain, which is the cerebellum, which is Latin for small brain, it's like a smaller part of the brain. That is what controls balance. For some people, they have the aging process might have resulted in loss of function there. Again, it's a cry for help. If the brain is fed properly, that can be addressed. For other people with balance issues, it could be just be weak muscles, weak joints. So again, that goes back to the importance. Everybody here really should have a personal trainer that you can, I'm sorry, or an aid can help you with your muscle building. Ladies, I was talking to you, especially. You got to train those leg muscles. You've got to train those.
Put myself in one of these
Mm.
because I was falling a lot.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
And I never hurt myself. myself, but I didn't want to take that chance.
I agree. Yeah, very important. It's better to be in a wheelchair than fall, for sure. But try to strengthen your muscles. All right, number 5, social interaction. Very important. Love it that you guys came out. Some people have problems. Number 6. Some people have problems with digestion and absorbing. As you grow older, the digestive juices that your body normally makes to digest food and to absorb the right proteins and amino acids, sometimes that is lost. So just so you know, there are supplements that help to restore those digestive juices so you can better digest your food and absorb it if that's an issue. So some people have a lot of bloating issues, right? Gas and bloating. You don't have to live with that. There are things that can be done where that's concerned. Let's talk about number 8, loss of special senses. So Larry asked about sight. It's not just about vision, it's also about depth perception and ability to judge distances. That tends to be lost as you grow older. But I really want to focus on hearing and smell because that's a big one where dementia is concerned. Let's start with smell. So during the pandemic, so they've done these studies over and over now, but during the pandemic, they found out that those people who had COVID, along with loss of smell, they tended to be the ones a few years later who had dementia.
Would you say that again? 'Cause I missed part of it.
So those who developed, who got COVID and lost, not long-term COVID, just COVID, and the loss of smell tended to have a much higher risk of developing dementia. Why do you think that is so? I'll tell you why it's so. Because the part of the brain that deals with smell is also the part of the brain that helps to make new brain cells and is also very connected. It's right there next to the memory center in the brain. In fact, they're almost like twins. So the part of the brain that is responsible for repair and regeneration of brain cells is also the part of the brain that has to do with smelling. And so if that part is affected, there's a greater chance of loss of memory and of course dementia. So there is a company, and there are different companies now that are coming up where they found out that simply by retraining your smell, by restoring your smell, by training your nose to smell different fragrances, believe it or not, they create a whole bunch of different fragrances, and that stimulates the restoration of smell, and with that stimulates the repair of that brain center. And they found out that it results in memory, significant gain in memory. Can you believe that? Simply from improving smell. Crazy. All right, so what is going on? So what we've just described are the kind of things, this by no means is not everything, but what we've just described are the kinds of things that go on and which I'm particularly concerned about as someone who treats dementia patients. So what's going on under the hood? This is a list of things. Obviously, we're not going to go through all that, but the top 2 are obviously nutrition. Your brain is not getting the nutrients. And part of it is that you're not digesting enough, or you're not eating the right kinds, or you're eating the wrong kinds, which is further depleting your brain and body of the nutrients that it needs to function. So think high sugary foods. These sugary foods deplete your brain and body of the nutrients. I've mentioned number 2, hormones. So that's another important thing. There are things called brain growth factors that help to stimulate the connection between brain cells. Those go down. Those reduce with age as well. Again, I need to get paid for this, Brian. But that Think Drink, one of the things in it that helps in the connection between brain cells, that helps stimulate connections between brain cells, is called Lion's Mane, right? And it helps lion's mane. Have you all heard of that? Yeah. So that stimulates the network. It stimulates the synaptic connections. And it's also part of that drink also has antioxidants, number 5, and anti-inflammatory. So if you want to start somewhere, I think that's a good place to start. It's simple, it's safe. I used to take all of these, I take about 10 different pills every day. Simply not because I have an issue, but because of my research and because of what I've seen. It would be foolish of me, knowing what I know, to not do what I do to maintain my brain. It would be very foolish. But I'm trying to educate other people too, so that you need to know what to start taking. And if we can make it easier for you to do these things, then that's just a bonus, right? I take basic things. What I mentioned, the non-negotiables. So 3 minerals, 4 vitamins. Those are the basic things. The vitamins are vitamin B complex, vitamin C, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2.
What was the first one?
Vitamin B complex. B, C, D, and K2. K2 is for calcium to drive calcium into the bones. The minerals are magnesium, potassium, and zinc. I started adding copper. Now, those are the basic things, like I said. I also take an immune support supplement. I take something for my hormones. I take something for sleep every night. And never had problems sleeping, but I also take it because I just want to have better sleep. I also take the creatine multiple times a day. I also take reishi, which is a mushroom that comes in coffee, also in that thing drink as well.
What do you take for sleep?
Melatonin. Melatonin.
What's the last thing you said, the last supplement you take? What was the last one you said?
What was the last thing I said? Reishi. Reishi is I said reishi, mushroom, creatine. Did I say something? I don't know. I can't. Maybe I need more of that.
How
Yeah,
many hours a night do you normally sleep?
I sleep about 7 hours. Okay. So, but the important thing is that my sleep is hardly interrupted. Hardly ever. And that's important. You do not want your sleep being interrupted. Okay, so we've talked about the things that decrease, the good things that you should have. So a 25-year-old would have those things. But the things that increase with age, stress hormones increase. Obviously, fat, and if plaque, number 6, plaque buildup in the arteries, it's gonna happen. Toxin buildup. And then of course, the number 8 there, a lot of people are just taking a whole bunch of medications. And sometimes your doctors are not talking to themselves. So one doctor prescribed one thing, another doctor prescribes another thing, and they just build up, and that can be a problem. So sometimes you just need someone to sit down with you and kind of like go through your medications and help you streamline them so you don't because medications are not necessarily safe all around, especially if you are taking too many. They deplete your brain of the nutrients it needs if you're not careful. So here are my action steps. I'm just going to just talk about these really briefly. What you need, number 1, folks, sugar is not your friend. If you're going to be taking sugar and processed food, make sure you go out for walks as much as possible, especially after a meal during the day, so you can drive the sugar levels down and improve your muscle health. As an older person, you definitely need more protein. Most people are just not taking enough. Sleep, do not be satisfied with just 5 hours of sleep or 6 hours of sleep. And if your sleep is being interrupted, you've got to do something about it. You should have uninterrupted sleep. I certainly encourage everybody to take supplements. You cannot get enough of the nutrients that you need for your brain simply by eating regular foods. It's just not what it was. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe, but now the foods have become so processed. And I'm not just talking about junk food. I'm talking about even normal lettuce and cabbage and oranges, the soil, for the most part, is not providing the nutrients to the plants like it used to. So I gotta tell you, you're just not gonna get enough. So anybody who tells you not to take supplements, they have not read the research. Ladies, especially ladies, it's very important you take the time. If you can't strengthen your legs, strengthen your arms, but you got to be doing something regularly to strengthen your muscles. And this lady, she's Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. She's one of those pioneers. She's also an older age specialist, a geriatric physician, and she's like, what she's seeing now is that people who don't, that low muscle mass, you can actually see it in the brain. That you can see the problems in the brain just by, I mean, that low muscle mass, it actually causes non-beneficial effects in the brain. So it's very important that we take that seriously. And so I give this talk. So I'm really focused on women more than men, just women in general, especially women, middle-aged women, because I just feel this is you all need help. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, I know how else to say it. It's just that I probably shouldn't be saying it in polite society. But so I was talking about muscle mass at this home and this. So Janelle on the right, and that's Jill, her daughter, on the left. So Janelle walks up to me, beautiful lady. She's in her 80s. So she walks up to me and she had asked me a few questions about muscle mass and all that. So I could tell she was interested, and I could tell she worked out. And so she comes up to me and she does this. She kind of like, she like does this, right? And then flexes, and then she says, "Feel that." And I did. And folks, I don't know what else we talked about after that. All I know is that I just said, "Yes, ma'am," and "No, ma'am." I'm not gonna mess with you. I mean, those guns were, golly, those guns were intimidating. Not gonna mess with her. All right. So those of you who want to kind of like have a deeper dive, Lauren has my information and all that. If you want to, I do take consultations. I do talk to patients. For those who have specific problems that you need hand holding with, we can do that. I walk you through the process. I go over your medical records. I go over your medications, and then I recommend a plan of attack on what you need to do to take control of your health. But bottom line, folks, and I know I've said this over and over again, what our salvation lies in us ensuring that we do things that maintain our brain energy. So we want to go from reduced brain energy to replete. Brain energy repletes. All right? And so let's just recap real quick. We've talked about what the brain is, what is normal, what the brain does, how the brain does what it does. And remember, we talked about it's through the network, it's through the cells connecting with each other. What the brain needs, energy and other things as well. Remember that picture. Your brain needs support. It's like a baby. It needs family to take care of it. And then what your problems are, number 6, as an older brain, it has specific issues. So before I end this, I'm going to ask Brian to come up and say a few things real quick about Brian. So we talked about the energy thing. So there you go.
Great. I think you probably have the magnet dropping down your shirt right now somewhere. So guys, thank you so much for, now, can everybody give a big clap for Dr. D? It's pretty awesome to have somebody with his knowledge, and he's very humble about what he's done. But if you look into him and you research what he's done, and literally he has really helped a lot of people try to get to health and get to a healthier state. And now you can actually reach out to him, do one-on-ones. We can't. Yes, I can. Sorry, I'm on this one as well, but I'll do both. Is this one? Do you have that one?
Thank you.
All right. Oh, you can hear me now. Okay, sorry. This one's for the camera and this one's for you guys. So what I'd like to tell you guys a little bit about is this drink that my partner Jeff and I came up with. We're the co-founders of P39 Nutritionals and Think Drink. The simplicity is that I was actually struggling with sleep deprivation myself. Jeff and I both have 4 kids apiece. I have 17, almost 18 this month, down to 4. And my 3-year-old last year, who's 4 now, started waking me up 4 or 5 times a night and saying, Dad, I want water. Dad, there's a monster in my closet. Dad, I need to go to the bathroom. And I looked at him and said, dude, I'm going to be the monster in your closet. You need to stop waking me up. I need to sleep. So I started doing a really deep dive into creatine because I had listened to so many functional health docs, just like Dr. David. I listened to a lot of functional health docs. Dr. Andrew Huberman is one of my favorite. He's from Stanford. He's an ophthalmologist and neurologist, and he got my attention. He said, hey, how many of you guys have kids that are keeping you up at night? I feel really bad for you if your kids are waking you up at night because you need sleep. And I said, okay, you have my full attention, because I'm not sleeping right now. And he talked about creatine. So I went down this deep rabbit hole. And my friends and I right now, we're in our 50s and we're trying to squeeze the most out of the lemon as we can, especially me with a 4-year-old at 51. I want to be an active dad. So I've been really paying attention to a lot of functional health docs on how I can actually live well into my 80s and 90s as a healthy adult so that I can actually take care of my kids. So it took me down this rabbit hole with creatine. I ended up finding and pairing it with functional mushrooms. Have you guys ever messed with mushroom coffee at all? Have you tried Rise Coffee or Four Sigmatic Coffee? Or how many of you guys in here like coffee? Drink coffee in the morning? I love my coffee. However, during this phase of my life, I was drinking probably 4 to 5 cups a day, and it still wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I found out that doing creatine would actually give me the functional energy. And then talking to Dr. David about it, it makes a lot of sense. So the creatine actually makes adenosine triphosphate, which is our body's natural building block of energy. So what is creatine? It's not to go into the gym and look like you're really big, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, as Dr. David said. It actually creates energy. So for you guys, functionally, when you wake up in the morning and you don't have energy, coffee's not going to give you energy. The caffeine in coffee is not going to give you energy. However, creatine will actually create adenosine triphosphate, which will give you energy. So we paired that with the functional mushrooms. Lion's mane creates nerve growth factor. You saw all of Dr. D's charts on nerve growth in the brain and all the neuroconnectivity, which is just amazing if you've ever listened to somebody talk about the connectivity in the brain and how many miles of connection are going on in our brain. Well, the lion's mane will actually help you with neuroconnectivity. It creates new nerve growth factor and new neuropathways in our brain. And then the reishi mushroom in there actually is a nerve balancing mushroom. It'll give you kind of a good mood stability. If you're dealing with any depression issues, reishi is a really good place to start. So those two will actually help your brain say yes to the creatine, and that way your creatine stays above your shoulders. So we're focused on shoulder up energy. So we'd love for you guys to try it. We have a free sample for you guys if you haven't grabbed one. And you can try it. We actually like it served cold. So you take one of those packs back there. We made it really super easy. You take one of the stick packs and you tear it open, pour it into 12 ounces of water, and all of the instructions are on the back. Sorry to say it's in very small print, but you can actually look at it on our website as well. But 12 ounces of water, you can go up to 16 ounces of water too to make it less sweet. If you like it sweeter, like I think Jeff and his wife, they actually use it at 10 ounces of water so that they can have it more sweet, so that they like it more concentrated. But you do that, shake it up, stir it, and because it's all natural ingredients. So you can shake that, stir it, pour it over some water and try it out. We'd love to hear what you have to say about it. I'll make it really short and sweet. And I think, I'd love to answer any questions that you have. We'll be back there handing out samples to you guys so you guys can try it. It's to let you know on cost. So Dr. David, he has a code that we put onto our website with his information. And because of knowing him today, if you scan his card back there, you get 20% off of your first purchase with us. But it's $54.95 a month. And that's 23 packs. So we recommend 5 days on and 2 days off. And why do we do that? Because your body needs to actually rest from the things that you're giving it in order to look forward to it. So I take mine Monday through Friday. I take off on the weekends and it gives me something to look forward to on a Monday morning. So check us out back there. I'd love to answer any questions you guys have.
Where's your company physically located?
So we actually have our headquarters in Delaware, and Jeff and I both live here in Maryland. Jeff's out in Mount Airy, and I'm in Towson right here. So we operate most of our shipping and our actual sourcing here in Maryland. We ship right from Maryland, so everything's local. We're a local company.
When's the best time to take it? Morning?
So it depends on you and what you're doing. Because creatine, naturally your brain, everything that comes into your body, nutrient-wise, your brain will send it where it's supposed to go. So with creatine, the trick is we don't want it to go out to our muscles. However, it helps with muscle growth. What our goal is for it to stay above your shoulders and stay in your brain. So spacing it away from your working out. If you're going to go for a walk at the same time every day, well, take it after the walk or take it before, like 90 minutes before the walk or the workout. If you're going to be working with somebody, that way your brain knows, oh, I know what she's trying to do here. She's trying to get me to keep it above my shoulders instead of just sending it out to my muscles, like we do with a lot of triathletes. And if the triathlete takes creatine and then goes for a 3-mile swim, well, the creatine is going to go right to the legs and right to the arms and everything because you're going to use it and the brain will tell you to do that. So spacing it is important. For me, I take it first thing in the morning around my coffee. So instead of taking 4 cups of coffee a day, I love coffee. So I do 1 cup of coffee a day instead of 4. And I take this. So you could, however, there is a small amount of caffeine in the matcha green tea. So it's about the same as a small cup of coffee in the matcha green tea itself. So I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend it in the morning or mid-afternoon. If you kind of start feeling your body collapse down on you in the afternoon and you want some pick-me-up energy, you could use it then. My recommendation is to use it at the same time of the day so that your brain knows what's coming. Any other questions now, or we can talk to you guys back there when we're handing out samples too. Jeff, do you have anything else to pitch in? Yeah, sure.
I was wondering, is walking enough?
Well, is walking enough for what? So here's Dr. Rhonda Patrick is one of my favorite functional health docs, and she talks a lot about walking. And she said if she could make a pill that would give you the equivalent of walking 20 minutes after every time you ate, if she could make a pill, that would be the #1 selling pill in the world. So walking, she would say, would be very important. But obviously, with you guys, you got to make sure that you're not putting yourselves at risk, and whatever injury that you would sustain by working out would set you back. So make sure that you're talking with someone about what you can do, but be as active as you can. Another functional health doc, Peter Attia, I knew Peter when he lived here and worked at Hopkins, and his big thing for aging seniors is holding yourself up by your own body weight. So whatever you can do, if you can actually hold onto a bar and hold yourself up, do you have a gym here? Do you have a place that you can go? If they have a place where you can just hold yourself up or partially hold your body weight on a bar, if you can hold yourself up for 2 minutes, he would say you're doing really well. Anything less than 2 minutes, he would say, work on it. And that's grip strength. And he's saying grip strength will actually take you through. And if you have really good grip strength, it'll help you not to fall as much. It'll help you to be more stable. So even getting one of those squeezy grip strength, something to work on your grip strength would be probably the latest science would be to start with your grip strength. Start with as Dr. David said, start with your legs. Everything's better than nothing, yes. Absolutely. Any other questions for me while I'm up here? If not, we can talk with you guys back there at the table. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Dr. Ajibade, do you have anything else you want to put in there?
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah. I just came back in just in case. Any questions? Lots.
Do you need exceptions to the rule as well?
What rule?
All these things that stay healthy, keeping your medicine.
You mean whether you can get away with not doing any of these things before?
I don't know about that, but have you done?
I mean, I heard of George Porter, that's good. completely opposite of everything I've talked about so far. So of course there are exceptions, but, yeah. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Thank you again, Lauren. Appreciate you guys. Stay healthy, stay strong. God bless you guys.